Right, awesome. I have confirmation that this meeting is live. Thank you all for tuning in and joining. This is the support group conversation where you have myself and Lyle here as well. Lyle's in, great. Here to talk to you about what's happening in the support area of GitLab. There's a slide deck, check that out. If you have questions, put them in the doc and we'll address them. Is that right, Lyle? Is that our plan?
That's the plan.
All right, awesome. I want to start before I see two questions in the doc, which I'm very excited about. Before I start there, I want to draw attention to two slides towards the end of the doc. I think they're really powerful, really important. License and renewals. We're doing a lot of work there, so check out that one. And how to engage with the support team. If your group or your peers or you need to engage with the support team, that is a slide you should review and ask us questions about it so we can better serve you. So that's something that I want to just draw your attention to towards the end of the slide deck after you get through all the graphs and pretty pictures. Lau, you want to tackle that first one?
Well, let's have Greg read it first, and then I'll have to think about it. But Jason's already answering it, so maybe I'll just pass to Jason.
All right, so my question is, on slides 8 and 11, I noticed some terms, one being basic is there. I'm not sure what basic is, and I also noticed we have gold, but we don't have ultimate. So which category do ultimate customers fall into?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and take this one. Basic is starter. It's an old misnaming issue from way back when. Most of the time in Salesforce, they're called basic because, again, old misnaming issue. In the back end of Zendesk, we codify for if a customer was marked starter or basic, they're still there. They're still classified. Basic's the one that has the most data, though, so we tend to go with basic. But starter and basic are basically the same exact tag, just an old misnaming issue. And as far as ultimate, it falls into the premium category. Just because really when you look at the drop downs for Salesforce on the support level side, there's basic, bronze, silver, gold, premium. We don't really see a lot of ultimates, but again, it's kind of codified in Zendesk that if there was an ultimate, we classify them also as premium just because a lot of ultimate customers are actually marked premium support level wise. And I think that's because on the support level side for self-managed, premium or ultimate both are priority support, so they'd be getting the same kind of level.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Jason. Christy, would you like to voice your question?
Yeah, looking at slide 5, it looks like customer satisfaction has kind of done one of these numbers where it's gone up and then it's gone down. Any hypotheses around why it's gone down?
Sure. This is a great question. There are some other support managers on the call, so I want to raise the call out. If you have something that you want to say or add, feel free to jump in. The things that I want to draw attention to that we've done some work on, but it's not reflected here, is what I would call CSAT margin of error, where we need to look at every month when we assess CSAT, we're looking at the number of responses we got that month, and then that differs month over month. And then the number of tickets for which we got responses on differs month over month. And the makeup of those tickets, whether it's more premium, more starter, more .com, that changes. So that shifts the makeup of who we're talking to. So we break it down by plan type and we see that. So I think in earnest, I think our spike was more of an anomaly than the drop and leveling out to what is more the traditional. But what I want to get is that margin of error on this graph, because then we can see how much we moved and maybe the spike was just actually within a margin of error. But other managers, do you have insights from the work you've been doing or seeing? If you do, would love to hear them.
So since no one's answering, part of what I'm hearing you say, Lee, is really what we should be looking at is a longer time frame. So what's probably more accurate and then helpful is a rolling average view of 6 or 12 months and whether that's moving, not whether it's moving on a month by month basis.
Yeah, I think we show this as the bundle up, but we break down in a few other slides as well. You'll see like per plan type, per customer segment. So we look at it kind of from multiple axes to try and get that holistic picture. And that I think is important. I'm curious, I'd love to see the rolling average. Everybody who knows me, I'm a sucker for a good moving average. So I would love to do that. But yeah, that's a good thing to highlight. And I don't have any insights myself right now beyond, I think the spike was more of an anomaly, but I will acknowledge that from January to now, there is a small downward trend. That's a 2% difference, right? And we should look at that and understand, is it less people responding, more people responding, right? What is actually driving this, different makeup, et cetera, et cetera. This is something that I'm excited about. Okay. I see some comments in the doc if anybody wants to vocalize them. No, I'm seeing that's on a different one. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Go for it.
All right. I see that ticket volume is going up. I'm wondering if you can give us some insight as to why. Is it just because we have more customers, or is it because we have more problems with our product? Which obviously, if it's the latter, I'm worried.
Yeah, this is a good one. I'll take a quick stab, and then Lau, I'm going to pass it to you because I've been talking a lot. I think it's mostly driven by customer growth. From there, I don't think there is anything at the moment myself, in my understanding, that is a large or new deficiency in the product or something that is causing challenges. The big challenge that we're trying to help customers get to is our reference architectures. We want more customers using the same so that we can help them better, faster, those kind of things. And obviously some customers will have reasons why they need to pull and stretch that. Yeah, so I would say that. Lyle, I pass it to you if you have anything else that you want to add or clarify.
I can talk, but none of this is going to be validated. So GitLab is a really quickly moving product, as you all know, because you're building it. And especially on .com, we see really rapid uptake on new features. And so, I mean, as those features get released, even within the month before release, we'll start getting tickets. And then we get hotspots. So like right now, NuGet is just hot for whatever reason. 3 months ago, it was SAML. And so I think that might play a part of it, is just the product moving really quickly. Folks want to use new features. New features take some time to digest. Like the first version of the docs isn't the best. And then as we get the docs, like you take a look at the SAML docs from when we released SAML integration on .com to where they are now, we have many, many fewer problems because the docs, because credit to like the team here, the docs are much better. I know that like Cynthia and Tristan specifically spend a lot of time. If there's anybody I'm forgetting, like also thanks to you, like that has deflected a lot of tickets. So it's sort of like we're always running to catch up. New feature comes out, docs aren't fully fleshed out with customer questions. As we get more and more tickets, the docs get better and we see fewer of those.
Okay, that's helpful. Two things I'll mention. I added them to the agenda as well. So I know we're trying to get more customers on the new reference architectures. If there are ways that we could be better surfacing the reference architectures so that they're easier for people to find and use, please let us know, because sometimes you might know where people are looking and we don't. So we value your input on that. And then Lyle, you mentioned the first version of docs aren't great. They get better over time. That's fair. And yes, I agree. At the same time, and Craig Norris is on the call too and can jump in on this, but this is also part of our goal as a technical writing team, is to have better first docs. And we're trying to figure out how to do that because it's important for our customers. It's also important for our support team. So would love, if y'all have ideas about how to do that, please share with us. Your insight's very valuable. And Craig, do you have anything to add to that?
And jumping in and just saying very much, we very much rely on your all's experience with this, and also anything that you can pass over from the customer's experience with these pieces, because we sit down and we have our level of experience with it. We've worked with QE, we've worked with developers in order to be able to generate these things, but we don't necessarily understand every single thing that the customer has to go through. And while we try to incorporate all of that in there, without that customer experience and without your experience in there, it's, we're going to miss things. There's going to be potholes, and we want to try to smooth those out as quickly as we can.
Yeah, and sorry, definitely wasn't trying to throw docs under the bus. I just want to make it clear we respect the work that you do. And
oh yeah, I'm
No,
just begging for more info.
Yes.
Please give us things.
Yeah. We have short to didn't take offense at that at all. We agree, and we want to make it better.
Yeah, this is Fabian. I just wanted to pitch in and say there are obviously no documentation issues with Geo and no support tickets. But overall, is it possible? So you mentioned there are some hotspots. Sometimes you get a lot of support tickets for a specific feature. I know there's a lot of interesting data in the support organization. So would it be possible or feasible to actually provide sort of a metric that says, we receive X many support tickets for this feature per month, right? Normalize that with the number of known customers or users, right? And then essentially use that as a metric for product to say, hey, Fabian, your Geo segment generates 30 tickets a month, right? And you only have this many customers, right? So that's not great. What are you going to do to reduce that? I'm not sure how easy that would be, but I think that would give us an indication of where we really need to improve because customers are facing issues.
Let me try to get some clarity about the ease of reporting on something like that. Typically, customers have an expensive and expanded deployment, which involves many components. So the challenge that we have is actually narrowing down and saying, this is the specific feature set that we're talking about. So we have some general ways and problem types that we kind of narrow down the ticket types, but specifically say, this is the feature that is involved, and it's challenging, and it's not always something that we can do on some edge cases, but in most cases you're interconnected environments, and the challenges on many of those. I hope I have better news.
Yeah, thanks, Ilya. I agree with Ilya here. I think we have a couple of large segments, right? We have performance, we have CI, we have a couple of areas where I think we could maybe break down that we feel confident that those are accurate. Today, I just saw shared in the support team chat channel, we have the product group has put together that features page, which outlines all the features and where the groups they're related to. And we're trying to figure out, is there a way we can parse that, bring that into Zendesk for our team to connect to? And if we're using that, then maybe we can start to get more of that insight. But it is very much a challenge, like Ilya said. And I'll share one anecdote. Yesterday, I worked with Cleveland on our team. The customer was using OpenShift and their own runner, and they had a problem starting after the 14th. We started diving in. We looked at some stuff. They were using the SAST analyzers. We made a change on the 14th. We were like, look, that's the problem. Here it is. We send it to them. We think it's this thing, but they come back and it's actually OpenShift. And so I think we will miscategorize more than will be accurate. And that is a bigger fear, that I would give you bad data than useful data. So I think we're pretty sensitive to that in the short term, but we would love to, if we can figure out a way to be accurate, and when we can be accurate, get you that data. But I would say it's probably going to have a pretty big margin of error because we, as Ilya said, it's pretty interconnected. So
thank you for the context.
Yeah, you got it. And I see Greg also calling out here that we can use the community as a resource to get some insights. Just going through the community and seeing what they're using and talking about is a great resource as well. And he has some things that he's been working on there that he's highlighted. Awesome. Fabian, do you want to hit us with the next one? And I'm curious about this because I'm not sure I understand. So I'm looking for some more context from you.
Yeah, so on slide 17, you said like, okay, help us understand the context surrounding requests. And so I'm not 100% sure what kind of context is helpful, but in my mind, I can give you an example of what I'm kind of thinking. I saw a support ticket recently from a customer that is talking about upgrades. And I know, because I know the account, that zero downtime upgrades are definitely the priority. There's no notion that folks want to upgrade and skip versions, right? So if the support organization doesn't have that knowledge, right, there may be a solution, and hey, can you just upgrade to this version? It's going to be fine. And the ticket will come back saying like, well, that's not feasible for those reasons because we have different priorities. And I just wonder, what context are you looking for? And is that captured somewhere in a sort of digestible format that I know there's lots of there's Salesforce links and Zendesk tickets, right? But some sort of, these are the top 3, priorities for the customer. Just keep those in mind so that support engineers have a little bit more, okay, this is clearly not a viable solution, or, this is some of the background. Because I think often, customers have been with us for a while, right? There's many support tickets for many issues, right? And I'm sometimes a little bit, you come in sort of at the end, with a lot of things known organically, right, that are then not apparent to the person actually handling the ticket. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, I think so, Lyle. Exactly. I was coming for you, Lyle.
Lee knows who put together each word on the slide, and this one was me. I don't have a perfect solution, but I can help provide more context, and maybe together we can come up with something. So the reason I put this is that support's really transactional. Every single ticket is like taking a book off the shelf, and you haven't necessarily read all of the books in the series. You're just reading a paragraph, and yeah, coming alongside that story and then coming back out and taking another book off the shelf. And so when we get escalations, or when we get, when we get tickets, knowing like sometimes the customer is reporting this is a problem, but knowing that the larger context of this is what they're trying to accomplish, sometimes solving the problem isn't the right thing to do. It's redirecting them or helping them to move somewhere else. So sometimes when tickets are escalated, we get just the ticket escalation without that context. And so whenever we can have that context, it's really helpful. How to solve that though? Like internal notes, letting managers know. Give me more. I don't know a good way to track that context.
Yeah, that's also my question here, right? Because I know there's a lot of this information. I think, we don't need to come up with a solution right now, right? But sometimes I don't know, maybe there is a, like account summary, in Salesforce or something that gets updated frequently, that allows folks to just post it as an internal note via a bot saying, hey, this is the current sort of state, right? Or some traffic light system, right? Because I've also seen, accounts being in not a good state for various reasons that have nothing to do with support, right? And then it matters to the person at the end. And I'm just sort of thinking, rather than doing that on a case-by-case basis, if there is a resource already that we can pull in, great. There probably isn't one, and then maybe creating one is sort of the would be helpful, but I don't know how to necessarily do that.
I think there's probably a combination. Sorry, Lee, I saw you on mute and then I cut you off. We do use internal notes right now. So right now, any internal note on the organization gets posted in as the first comment. And so we do track some context. Like we have a customer that they really like formal salutations. They prefer Mr. Versus, hi, first name. And so that's in the org notes. And we learned that because we got some feedback, and now we have that context with every interaction with that individual. There's some other things. So I think those org notes can help. I think there's also some things that are developing, and maybe somebody from the TAM organization can talk about Gainsight. We have that integrated into Zendesk. We don't know, we as support, I don't think know how to use it, or what we should do with the information that's exposed, but I think that could potentially be a piece because that talks about account health. It's an invitation. Anybody?
Yeah. Well, I don't know much about Gainsight myself, but I think the idea is that it tracks things that customers use, right, and customer health. So if that is actually an integration that's possible and Gainsight is updated frequently, then that may be an interesting data point to pull in. Yeah, I mean, I like that idea.
Yeah, from here, I think the other thing, Lyle, that I might add based on what we were talking about here, I think the shortest term is if you are escalating a ticket to support and you're aware of some overarching context that might be relevant, make sure to share that, right? And over time, we'll figure out how to standardize this and whatnot. But I think in the moment, we want to make sure that when somebody escalates something, try and give us as much context of what you know about the environment or who we should talk to if you think you know more, because that will just make sure that as we escalate and you come to us and we work together, that we're figuring out the right problem. Because sometimes it's not just this one ticket, it's actually they're trying to do a migration, right? And it's like, this is blocking that migration. That context, I think, will be enough for now. And then again, the org notes and evolving that for sure. I love everything that Lyle and you were saying about getting that more standardized. Cool. All right, Christy, I appreciate Fabian and Christy asking the questions. Go for it.
Thanks. Now I'm thinking about the more tickets thing. And thinking about, okay, so then how do we determine when having more tickets is a problem versus no, it's just because we're growing as a company. So I'm wondering, do we have a metric where we track the number of tickets that are coming in versus the size of our user base, either as a percentage or something? I don't actually have something specific in mind, but it's proportional, right?
Yeah, I think we might somewhere. Ilya might have one, but I think the way, like, for example, if you look at this graph and if we look at July, it is a spike and July is out of the normal range. Our current model, which our support model is based on a hybrid of forecasted revenue growth and ticket volume growth. And the reason for that is that's going to indicate customers, right? So we take that dual perspective, and from looking at that, we estimate, I don't know the exact percentage off the top of my head right now, and I don't want to misquote it, but there's basically a percentage growth that we expect to see, and we follow that pretty linearly. It's actually pretty clear. So in July, when we see that spike, that's enough for us to say, what happened here? This is an anomaly. And July was a product feature where users had to reconfirm their emails on .com. And when they did that, it had to, right? And so that kind of spike becomes very clear. So there could be some smaller ones that get lost or we might not see in the noise, but when we see big ones like that, we can usually pinpoint and find them, and they're pretty clear. So I think that helps, but I don't think we have that graph explicitly. We might have seen it a few times. Ilya, do you have more?
Yes, we are tracking. I'll share it here in the chat. In general, we are tracking the amount of organizations that are opening tickets. That's semi-indicator. And Lee, yeah, perfect what you mentioned. It affected the July and August figures. We had over 600 extra tickets opened because of the reconfirmation email. And just to echo what Lee said, yes, we are seeing kind of a slow growth. And you can see it also, if you just, in the bottom of the table, you can see the number of organizations per sales segment. You can see that they are kind of generally trending upwards in general, but quite slowly. And those spikes are definitely a reconfirmation email thing.
Got it. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, with that, we are just about at time. Thank you all for engaging. Thank you for your help as always. Thank you for partnering with support. We want to continue to partner with you. So if you need anything, reach out to us. If we need anything, we'll reach out to you. Thanks all.
Well,
Bye, everyone.
Peace.